Welcome back to Small Caps. My name's Kerry Stevenson. Today, we're bringing you Prescient Therapeutics. They are a clinical stage company developing personalised therapies. Joining me today is the MD and CEO, Steven Yatomi-Clarke. Steven, thank you for joining me today. There is some fantastic news that you guys have put out to the market. I'm excited to tell our audience about what you're doing. You're an ASX-listed company. And for those of you that don't know, the ASX code is PTX. Write that down, ladies and gentlemen, because what we're talking about now is these guys are making some big headroads into these clinical stage trials they're doing, et cetera. So, Steven, before we get started, just explain to everyone out there who are Prescient Therapeutics, just a bit of an overview.
Prescient Therapeutics, we focus on oncology. If I was to be able to capture the many things that we're doing, it is personalising cancer therapy, addressing the things that drive cancer inside the cell and outside of the cell, and it is looking to deliver superior outcomes for patients.
There's a lot of people looking at cancer and cancer cells. What makes Prescient Therapeutics different from the others that are out there?
Well, I think there's a lot of companies with single assets or single projects, and we have a diversified pipeline. Look, we license from the best and we work with the best. Our pipeline comprises assets from Moffitt, for the third largest cancer centre, from Yale, from University of Pennsylvania, from Oxford. And so we license from the best, we work with the best to come up with lots of shots on goal to approach cancer in lots of different ways.
The focus is cancer, but you said there's a diversified pipeline. What I'd like to unpack is what is that diversification and why is that important for a company like yourselves to become successful?
Yes, so I think it's diversified from a number of different ways. Firstly, how you treat the cancer, the weapons that you're using to kill the cancer, and the stage of development of that cancer, so that there is a nice staggered pipeline of products coming through and news flow, and also the types of cancer. I mean, unfortunately, cancer is a catch-all term describing literally hundreds of different diseases. So we're targeting many different diseases with different tools at different stages of development.
Why is it, because cancer is... There's a lot of different cancers out there. If you've got such a diversified portfolio, how do you stay focused with so many different cancers out there? Or have you got the answer? Are you unpacking something which can go across all the different cancers?
That's a very good question. Some cancers have things in common that drive that cancer, and our platforms and our products are able to address those things that these cancers have in common. So by succeeding in one area, we're able to address a large number of different cancers. And with Omnicarr in particular, which is a platform hopefully we get to talk about later on, gives us lots of opportunities to kill cancer in many different ways.
All right, so let's try and unpack this from an investor's point of view as well. One of the products that you have, I guess, if you want to call it a product, is PTX 100 and PTX 200. What are they? And from an investor's point of view, what are you doing with those that can potentially give a very good shareholder return in the future?
Sure. So these are called targeted therapies. And what these do, they target problematic proteins inside the cell. So think of it as aberrant proteins running out of control, like a car with a stuck accelerator, and we unstick the accelerator and apply the brake and kill the cancer cell by switching off those proteins that have gone rogue. And they switch off different rogue proteins. The announcement we put out last week was on a trial with PTX 100 and showing excellent safety, and above and beyond that, seeing a really interesting signal helping people with a particular type of blood cancer, where people were expected at best to respond for up to 4 months, and we've seen 12 to 17 months. So if this continues, and this needs to be the subject of a further study, this is starting to look and smell like an exciting opportunity that doesn't need to, tons and tons of development in order to get it to the finish line.
With PTX 100 and 200, is because traditionally with cancer, the treatment has been whack them with chemotherapy, kill everything, and hope that at the end result will be that we're not killing absolutely everything, we're killing the cancer and the patient is okay at the end. But is this an alternative to chemotherapy?
Absolutely. Hopefully we're seeing the beginning of the end of chemo, which is, as you say, indiscriminate, just pump them full of poison. Okay. This is not what this seeks to do is, and that's what I mean by personalised, looking at the cancer patient, doing simple tests as to, okay, what problematic proteins are driving that cancer? It's this one. Okay, we're going to give you this drug to address this problematic protein, switching it off at the source rather than, just an indiscriminate sort of carpet bombing approach, if you will, that chemo represents.
So is it always a rogue protein, as you called it just a moment ago? Is that, and so are you unlocking the fact that nobody else has? So the chemotherapy is just a wide-ranging kill everything, and what you're saying is we're going to understand where that rogue protein is and switch that off, as you said before. Take the foot off the accelerator and put the brake on.
Well, to use another analogy to help describe how chemo works, if you've got weeds on your front lawn,
yep,
you could carpet bomb, you could spray weed killer across your whole lawn, and I guarantee you will kill your weeds and you will kill everything else in your lawn. And what we're doing is, with our targeted therapy approach, using weed killer, just spotting it just on the weeds, just killing the weeds and trying to leave the lawn intact is the best way to think about it.
That's a great analogy. I like that. So in terms of news flow going forward for PTX 100 and 200, first of all, what's the difference between the two? And what's the news flow going forward that investors can hope to hear in the coming months?
Yeah, so they switch off different types of proteins and address different diseases, but they are both in clinical trials now. You can expect news flow on both of those. One of them, they're in different trials at different stages of development, so we can expect to hear on news on both of them in the coming months, which is exciting.
Is this patented technology? Is somebody else doing something similar, or have you unlocked something that nobody else has? And is that where the excitement is coming from your point of view?
Yeah, PTX 200, there's a little bit of competition with the target that they're going after, but we think this can find its own space. Yes, both of them, we've got patents on both of these drugs, I should have mentioned up front. With PTX 100, it looks like we've captured the reason we're getting the encouraging responses that we're starting to see anecdotally looks to be because we're targeting a very unique protein that no one else is addressing.
Okay, so how have you come across? Sorry, that intrigues me. How have you come across a unique protein that no one else has?
Well, really, we're piggybacking on a lifetime's work of our Chief Scientific Officer, Professor Sebti, who studied these proteins and these pathways his whole career, okay. And we've licensed that from Yale University.
Wow. Okay, got it. Now I understand. So that's ongoing, and that's pretty exciting. Now I know, Steven, you'd like to talk about Omnicarr.
I love talking about Omnicarr.
Yeah. So explain to our audience why you are so excited about Omnicarr and the milestones that you're hitting right now, and why this could be a game changer for Prescient Therapeutics.
In order to explain why I'm so excited about Omnicarr, I need to step back and explain what cell therapy is. And cell therapy, as the name suggests, is using living cells as a medicine. And the same cells that fight infection in your body, that make your throat swell up when you get an infection, they're called T cells. They're the frontline soldiers. They don't recognize cancer very well. So what we do is, this is what the field does, you take those cells out of the patient which recognize infection but don't recognize cancer, and outside of the body reprogram them to recognize and latch onto cancer. You put a new nose on this cell, if you like, that instead of bouncing around the cancer cell and not recognizing it, is able to sniff out, attack and kill the cancer. So the patient is getting an enhanced version of their own immune system that can now recognize cancer. And although it's early days, this is a real product. It was announced that is subsidised by the PBS last week here in Australia. It's a real product helping real patients, and we're seeing responses we have never seen before in the history of cancer. It is causing some observers to dare to use the word cure. Now, we've got to be, maybe in some cancers that might be the case, but we're seeing durable responses in certain types of cancers, and we think this is just the very, very start. So that's where cell therapy, it's relatively new, but like any new modality, like any new technology, the first iteration is often the clunkiest and the most awkward. Think of how VHS tapes changed the way we looked at movies. That's where cell therapy is as wonderful as it is. And with Omnicarr, what we're doing is being able to turn our immune system, turn these cells, make them directable and obedient, and give them the qualities that a doctor needs to see to send it to that cancer or that cancer, and be able to switch it on and switch it off like a remote control of a living cell. This is something that we can do, and it's not only going to help us and our therapies, but anyone else interested in the field, I'm sure, would welcome a discussion with them.
When you say you'd welcome a discussion with them, are you going to potentially license this to other companies around the world? Is this a game changer? A kind of like, I'm thinking it's something like open source technology. Is that where this potentially could be going?
Yeah, I think it can be. Look, we're considerably ahead of the curve here, so we've got to wait for like the wave to catch up with us. But that's absolutely the conversations we're having with people: is how do we use Prescient's technology to enhance our own? Because these people are saying they see the limitations of their own approaches. They said, well, we love our CAR T technology, but we'd love to be able to turn it up and down and switch it off, and we'd like to direct it against this or that. Can you help us do that? And that's certainly something that we'd be able to do for these people, in addition to creating our own products, which we are.
Tell me just, and help us understand the history of Omnicarr and how you not stumbled across it, but how did this become such a passion to keep going down this road to create this product, which potentially is going to switch off the chemotherapy treatment and switch on this next generation of CAR T therapy?
Yeah, so it is relatively new. The people who pioneered this whole CAR T approach is the University of Pennsylvania, and that is the core technology that we licensed. They recognised the shortcomings of first generation CAR T and developed this modular approach, which we have licensed. We've licensed it from UPenn, and also a little binding technology that complements that from Oxford University. So once again, licensed from the best. So the people who invented and pioneered the technology came up with the solution to some of these problems. And basically, while the world was focused on the first generation products and could see the stumbling blocks, I was out there trying to find a solution. Kissed a lot of frogs to find the prince, but basically I was looking when very few people were looking, and I was lucky enough to get in with the likes of University of Pennsylvania, and we're very, very proud to be working to be developing their technology.
Why this focus? I guess I'm because there's a lot out there, and you said you kissed a lot of frogs. What is it that you were looking for at the time, Stephen? I think that's important for us to understand, because you've also, I know that there's a lot of excitement around this. I'm just trying to unpack that. How did you kiss a lot of frogs and decide this is the one that has a future and a potential to change a cancer outlook globally?
Yeah, I think a very short history lesson, which was 2017, 16, 17 and 18, all of this tremendous excitement around first generation CAR Ts, the responses we've never seen before. And then people were, I think in the industry, were thinking, where to now? Like, we've picked the lowest hanging fruit in a certain type of blood cancer, but goodness me, these things they're clunky to make. They're very expensive to make. I can't switch them off. They're not very safe to give sometimes. Where do we go from here? Is this going to be a game changer for all cancers, or is it going to be very effective in a certain type of blood cancer? And people sat on the fence. And during that time, I knew that if I could address those issues I just spoke about, it's going to open it up for all these other cancers. And I went scrambling for, for solutions to this, knew exactly what we were looking for: Asia, Australia, Europe, America, and came across this and couldn't believe what I found. It was exactly what we were looking for. And while everyone was focused on where to now, we were able to license this
globally.
Yeah, I guess so. And my gut feel is if we had waited a few more months for some more industry data to come out, that there was utility beyond those types of esoteric approaches, I don't think we would have gotten it. I think it was the right place at the right time.
So got lucky. What's the...
Oh, you make your own luck, Kerry. add a bit of Australian charm in there as well. I don't think it hurts.
Of course. The Aussies always get out there and get things done.
Absolutely.
Stephen, what is it that your particular therapy, this Omnicarr, is? Because there's one thing or a couple of things that are making it a standout and potentially the game, as we said before, the game changer for cancer going forward. What does your product have that the others didn't quite get to?
So what happens now, you can make these cells up currently, and this is what others do, like people like Novartis and BMS. You can make these cells and you infuse it into the patient, and then the families and the doctor have to pray that it does its thing. And once you inject it, there's nothing you can do. These cells divide and divide and divide and divide, and there's nothing you can do except treat symptoms if they come up. Right. There is no control. What we do is give the doctor the control that they expect, to be able to turn these on and off like a remote control, to be able to direct it against one part of the cancer or two parts or three or four or as many parts as you like. So we're not limited in the same way that others are. In short, Kerry, I think what we're doing, we're taking the unparalleled cancer-killing properties of the immune system, but we're giving it the predictability and the control and the flexibility of medicine and combining the two. And that's the special sauce that we have.
Where are you in terms of, so from an investor's point of view, why do you think, where are you at? Are you well-funded? Are you looking to license this? What are the next steps for Omnicarr going forward?
We're going to march ahead with our own development. We did a big strategic review. What do you do with a platform that can do almost anything? And we identified three different products that we're going to be developing. One for blood cancer called AML, another one for solid tumours, and another one for brain cancer. And we're progressing those with purpose. They'll all be producing news. They're preclinical now and moving towards the clinic in the next sort of 12 to 18 months, but lots of value-adding capability news in the meantime. And in parallel, we're having those discussions with third parties that investors would be expecting us to be having, so that's all happening at the same time.
Do you think further down the track, one of the big boys is going to gobble you up? I have to ask the question from an investor point of view. That could be a very, very good outcome.
I think the best way to answer that question is that one of our closest peers, we believe our modular system is the best, but there's a couple of others who are trying to do a similar type of thing, and one of them was snapped up by Astellas at the same stage of development as us for $665 million US a couple of years ago, or less than a couple of years ago. So I think
what's your market cap at the moment?
We're at, depending on the day, between 120, 150 mil. Okay. So I think that shows that the first domino's fallen for this next generation of therapy. I'm not reliant on someone to come knocking. I'm about developing products, and in some ways it'd be more value accretive if we were able to demonstrate these. And the development timelines for these are not as long as traditional drugs. Forget about the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, really huge, long studies. These do not need to be onerous timeframes. It enables companies like Prescient to carry these a lot further in development and add the value for shareholders that we want to.
So do you think that what's your sort of timeline to get this further down the track and to deliver that value to shareholders?
Well, that's a good thing about a diversified pipeline, Kerry. So we've got PTX 100 and 200 in the clinic right now. We're doing an expansion cohort for PTX 100 that could lead to a registration study in the event of success. So that is like the definitive, like the phase 3 equivalent, if you will, except smaller and shorter. In the meantime, we've got Omnicarr running in the background at an earlier stage of development that we think is quickly going to catch up. So lots of staggered news flow across all of our programs. And I've not even spoken about our cell therapy enhancement program. So there's lots on the go.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, exactly.
What excites you the most, Stephen, out of all this stuff? Is it which one are you sitting up and going, I tell you what, this is a game changer?
Well, I think Omnicarr is definitely a game changer, and they're not my words; they're the words that I've heard from others. As, oh my goodness, how did you guys get this? Wow. So that's incredibly encouraging. When to be ahead of this curve with precious little competition, and you see a huge wave moving towards you, and you know you're ahead of that wave, is a really nice place to be, as opposed to at the back of the wave scrambling with everyone else trying to get onto it. So I don't like to, you don't want to pick favourite children. I think all of our programs have good commercial merit and good scientific merit. But really to have a genuine platform is that's ahead of the curve that could be a game changer. Is incredibly exciting.
I can hear your excitement. We're running out of time. Stephen, I always end with this one. Give us 3 reasons. This is an investor audience out there that's going, all right, this ASX PTX, who are they? Why should I invest? Give us 3 reasons why right now investors need to sit up and take notice of what you guys are doing, as if Absolutely. You haven't already told us.
We're a big company in small cap clothing. Basically, we've got a staggered pipeline. We've got PTX 100 and 200 delivering results right now. Those results are above our expectations and very encouraging, and can lead to we're steering this towards the shortest path to market. So that's the first one. The second one is this Omnicarr platform, where we're genuinely ahead of the curve. Some have described this as the holy grail of cell therapies, which is incredibly encouraging for us to be able to play with others as well as develop our own. And thirdly, we've got the resources, we've got the people, we've got the collaborations, we've got the cash. We raised, I think after our capital raising last year, we had 20 million. We've still got 16 left at our last report. You show me another company on the ASX delivering what we're delivering with the funds, with the cash burn that we've got. Look, you can't save yourself rich, but we've got to spend that money. But we've got the products, we've got the people, we've got the resources, and I'm incredibly excited.
I can tell your excitement, Stephen. I really appreciate your time talking to us on Small Caps today, ladies and gentlemen. As we said at the start, the ASX code is PTX. Prescient Therapeutics, the CEO and Managing Director, Steven Yatomi-Clarke, thank you for joining me on Small Caps today.
Thanks for having me.